to pick Minas off, but it looks to be unlikely, especially when you have Flash, Barrier, as well as, the slice and dice just to get into the better positions.
Yeah, because he was on that ward, it's very easy for SBTC to grab the other Scuttle Crab instantly. So that is what happens. We get one Scuttle Crab for both teams, which is generally an indication that your early game is going pretty even. But an eagle-eyed viewer would spy this on the minimap. TF already invading, trying to change that. Harry will step up. They're going to get the Winter's Bite and force a flash over the wall on this weird aggression out of SBTC, trying to steal away a blue buff, and they lose out on it.
Kind of like an overcommitment overall, because he's not really in the position to smite it away when he possibly had a little bit of a room with both the Ezreal as well as the Jangan moving upwards. So bottom lane matchup itself, I think this will go on pretty evenly. I won't expect them to just run at each other, especially when you have Jangan as well as the Braum, which is more of a very defensive support. Some may also play a Braum aggressively, but you will have to wait for a level 5 if that's the case.
Yeah, that was very strange, because otherwise SBTC, as we talked about during the draft, that was unfortunate. True shot goes right into the Braum shield.
Okay, wasted. Yeah, as you're saying.
But otherwise, this early game is going to SBTC, right? Contra, they are winning all of these lanes kind of by default, as we talked about.
Yeah, overall, they can only scale to be even stronger, especially Kirill moving into the Trinity Force build, which is the optimum way to go around. If you're going to be behind, then perhaps head over to the Iceborne Gauntlet. But then again, there's so many of all these mixed damage ratios that's coming out Bigetron Esports, especially when you have a Malphite that does also contribute magic damage alongside with Henry. Yes, it may not be too much of a burst, but it definitely does help overall. So SBTC Esports, they are just playing a little bit more reserved as compared to the usual tempo that we are seeing. I believe that this is a little bit of the playoffs pressure coming right in.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if that affects their gameplay. As we head out of this early game, Minas takes a fight against the Bigetron bottom lane, which lane swapped up there to top side. Bigetron do this, and I don't especially like it because it normally means they just don't get this dragon. But this time round, they seem to be making this play so that they can harass for a dragon. You see Valp 1 there as the Malphite, scary enough to force SBTC away from the first strike of the game, which is that all-important Ocean Drake.
Yeah, and another reason why they really want to swap over to this lane is just to make sure that Renekton doesn't get too huge for them to deal with later on, but they are going for an exchange, and here it comes.
Yep, here it is. Minas pops the Dominus, walks away, heroic entrance falls short, and it looks like it will be the turret for Drake trade here. Normally, as I talked about, I don't especially like this for Bigetron, not because turret for Drake isn't decent on paper, but because they don't get, whoever they're playing tends to get much more than the Drake. They tend to be able to contest that bottom turret, as we saw here, clean out some of the jungle. And in this specific case, Contra, Bigetron don't even get the top turret in this exchange. So it's a pretty unequivocal gold lead being passed over to SBTC, as they do take advantage of Bigetron's split map pressure and take the bottom turret as the first break of the game.
Yeah, this was given for free towards SBTC, and I definitely agree with your sentiments right here as Bigetron Esports. If they really want to play towards that late game potential that they've always done before, then they need to actually put a lot more priority on the Drake, which they've also lost it to SBTC Esports. Not going to help too much now that SBTC Esports will have Renekton with a little bit more of the Omni Vamp, so he can survive a little bit better when it comes down to close quarter combat. Now, Aquino trying to actually scout things up ahead and forces both the Baron laners, Dragon laners that are now in the Baron lane, to just hug time.
Yeah, I gotcha. We do need to talk about the team fight, I think, at this point. This shouldn't be a contest from Bigetron. I think they're right not to contest it. I also think it's going to suck that SBTC have the Rift Herald, but life does suck. That's one of the first lessons you learn. Your Rift Herald charge will be claimed by SBTC and is, of course, presented by Globe. So I want to talk a little bit about the SBTC team fight, because that's what's going to be very important in the next couple of minutes. Can you maybe talk about how that works?
Well, for SBTC, what they really want to do is just to set things up for a pick, just like how they're doing right here. Now, forcing Harry's helper to drop real low just to secure the turrets, and they really have to move from here.
Dua really low back there, but you have so much poke potential. Oh! He finds two with the true shot. That was disgusting. A double kill from a single ultimate from Kiro.
I'm kind of irked that they have been hugging real tight. They could have actually hopped over and just leave it be. SBTC Esports, they've already got a full rotation hitting there. And the rest of Bigetron Infinity, they're not really responding just too well, especially when you have a Galio in your team. There is a potential to perhaps perform an outplay in particular, but now Pyro now charging in towards the mid side, taking a couple of platings, but I don't think that they can secure it just about yet.
We talked about Kirol in the prelude to this game. We talked about how oftentimes the SBTC AD carry feels like the strength through which the early game is won, and here we get a demonstration of that. Julie in the mid lane, poking down the players, shredding the turrets, and Kirol is there. Ezreal Zig is going to do so much damage to the turrets and has so much long-range threat to close out these kills.
Right, Redemption now being popped over. I guess they just really want to bully out the bot laners. They was forced to retreat with the rocket jump backwards. Now going in for a little bit of reset before they prepare for next streak. Now vision control is being set beautifully by SBTC while they just take away the blue buff away from Bigetron Esports. So more trouble lurks ahead. Now Bigetron, they kind of played a little bit too much of a respect towards the enemy lines, but Henry might just look for a pick.
Engaging, forcing the Winter's Bite. This is the counterpoint. Bigetron, as they scale up, are just going to be able to win team fights from this Tristana of Dua. And the way that works is, during the poke phase, is Harry lands the Winter's Bite, and then you proc it with the Tristana. Here's your Drake. Bolt will have ultimate. And SBTC are respecting that.
Yeah, and SBTC, they know for a fact that if Bigetron were to actually engage with their hits diving in first, they might also be in trouble now that they are all segregated, but the Redemption will be shoving them away. SBTC will regain the control of the entirety of the river, only for a slight moment from now. But it seems like Bigetron Infinity, they are in a way holding back for I don't know what reasons, but they need to take the first move no matter what, especially when you have control with the Cyclone at the ready.
They'll have another chance, everyone clustered. You don't get a better Malphite opportunity than this. But Bigetron don't seem to feel they have the engage. And there's the Cataclysm. Mega Inferno Bomb combo. Heroic entrance to try and answer, but already there's a player down. Falp knocked out of the team fight. TF comes out of GA and trades forward. TF and Minas are both slain on the engage, but there's so much damage. You can see Dua being able to stack up the kills and being traded right back by Kira and Julie, who are still pushing forward. Kira in the mid lane, shredding this turret as Harry steps to the fore, protecting Harry from the engage. That will be an even trade around the Drake, but the Drake does get picked up successfully by SBTC.
Yeah, and this put composition coming in from SBTC Esports is just played all too well. Lower the health bars of Bigetron Esports before even giving them any sort of room to initiate, and we saw how low this Malphite was before he even get that chance for an unstoppable force. And in fact, did he even pull it out? I don't really think so. Well, Henry, he does have a lot of things that he can actually expend. He could also flash forward with the Shield of Duran to pull them all together to set the pace for control to knock them up in the air. But I'm not really seeing all too much of all these sort of the cohesiveness coming out from the likes of Bigetron Infinity as of now. But hopefully when desperate time calls for desperate measure, they will be able to sync it all together for maybe a big team fight that they can actually take out of SBTC Esports.
I think probably the most important thing is, of course, this is, as Rika would say, a protect the queen composition. That queen being Tristana. And Dua got 2 kills now.
Yeah, now I guess that they will be hugging real tightly towards the top side of the map for now. A 4-1 split coming out for the side of SBTC Esports, while they do have the Renekton and TF. He just spotted out a clone, so they don't really have to commit all too much. While all they need to do, chunk their health bars down, and well, this problem is taking too much of a hit, so I don't think that he could do much but to drop in that Glacial Fissure.
Yeah, so much of Harry's time is being spent shielding turrets. True Shot hunts for his low HP bars, the Mega Inferno Bomb chunks him down as well. There's just so much poke. They've got one of those extendy grabby arms over on SBTC, and they're just using it to grab the HP bars of Bigetron and then walk through their undefended turrets. Another turret falls in the top lane.
Yeah, and then if this keeps carrying on, Bigetron Esports will just lose out eventually. So SBTC, they're just using the strengths to their advantage so far, and Kirill can only get stronger from here on. Just we check into the itemization. He's building the execution is calling. He doesn't really have to finish off his full item per se, but you know, you can even get the hands on the Blade of the Ruined King eventually, just to make sure none of these tanks will be rendered effective to actually get many of these things done.
But hear me out. You know what I really like? You know what I collect, Contra?
What's that?
Do?
Well, no.
It's rocks.
Okay.
That's what I collect. And I want to see a really cool rock here from Pop 1. Because we're hitting the game state, and I think SBTC are aware of this. That's why we're seeing this path down towards the Malphite in the bottom lane, where a good Malphite ult wins a team fight.
Yeah, I really do wonder what's in your collection overall, but with that,
I don't actually collect rocks, I'm sorry.
I'm disappointed now. I'm disappointed. I was hoping for something, and you were saying like, okay, cool rocks, right? Like, is there anything cooler than the Mega Rock? But, oh, seems like SBTC having TF getting in the very dicey situation, but he walks out away alive.
This is so many people are drafting Camille when you could be drafting Jarvan, who would lock down single targets and be able to do that in late game, be a secondary tank. And right there, the fact that TF can't be killed has just earned SBTC another Drake. They're going to get their 3rd of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I just don't know. VTR, they're kind of in this situation where they try to threaten the situation with a call for Baron, but this flank looks to be pretty good if he pulls in Unstoppable Force at the moment. It seems like Fat One doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, you can't fight Ziggs, Ezreal in a choke point, and they're right to fall back on that, but now Valp's in trouble. Caught inside the Cataclysm, Heroic Entrance will be spent to get Valp out, as well as Valp's flash. Oh, the True Shot! They find him! That is gross! Again, the double global ultimates hunt down an isolated kill. And now Bigetron need to play the next 30 seconds of the game with the Baron on the map at a player disadvantage. And SBTC are not going to wait around for anyone to respawn. Here's the pressure down mid. Minas chunking players' HP bars low. Harry's just got to run away. Henry's backing away as well. Bigetron are cowering inside of their fountain, and SBTC run this map.
Well, I just don't understand, why do you go for a Malphite pick if you're never going to be using your ultimate at any point of time given? Like, might as well try if this is going to be the case, and what is there to lose? You do have so many layers of defense, and Valp, he walked into that bush, which was absolutely warded, and the Ziggs alongside with Kirill will be able to punish all too easily without needing to commit anything at all. Now TF, he's getting caught over the wall.
He's going to be able to flag and drag to safety. So everything I've been hyping up for Bigetron, I do want to highlight. Yes, they're at a 10,000 gold lead, but all of the items are online. We are in full teamfight territory. Bigetron get one swing at this game, and it is right now.
Well, I really hope to actually see it, or else this Renton's just gonna be hammering down that Imperial down bottom side as well. Now, they're trying to fall back, so it's kind of like a split decision when it comes down to this, and Minas is just doing everything right for SBTC.
Because everything I'm talking about with the team fight, it doesn't matter if Bigetron can't get the team fight. And they're going to be split when CF goes for the engage. This is a player advantage on the map to Bigetron, but it's instantly removed by the low HP as the Mega Inferno Bomb chokes players low. Harry's got to run for his life. Control's already back. Harry gets hunted down by Kirill, and Minas has survived the experience of split, pushing, roamed all the way back to this Baron as SBTC reset their HP bars with this Monsoon. They're going to take the Baron. Here's Bigetron trying to steal. They're not going to get it. Your Baron power play presented by Globe is held by SBTC.
I don't see how Bigetron Esports can actually come back from this huge chunk of deficit that they have suffered. And well, for most part, it's absolutely given. I just have to just point out the obvious, right? Like, if you're having so much of all these crowd control and you're not really using it to effect, then it's absolute waste. Like, yeah, the items are coming up online, but it doesn't really hinder SBTC. Look at how fast they take down all these inhibitors. Now they can just put a chokehold overall onto Bigetron Esports. They cannot leave the base at any point in time. And the worst news is yet to come, because this is an Elder Infernal Drake, which most likely will go to the hands of SBTC Esports if Bigetron don't do anything about it.
I mean, I'm with you now. Before I was in the party of, okay, well, they'll scale up, you know, Bigetron don't quite have optimal team fight. Press the Malphite button.
Yeah.
He's got one button, press it. Otherwise, this game's going to be over. Here's Fop 1 with a chance.
The only time I see that
it's only just gone. It's the siege engine, and Fop 1's in trouble. Mega Inferno Bomb, he's dead! He's just gone! And so are Bigetron. Monsoon resets this team fight. TF cuts off the retreat, and Kirill picks up the leftovers. Julie finds a double kill. That Nexus is gone.